All I wanna be is 멋짐 내 맘대로 걸어 Kick it 머리 어깨 무릎 다 힙해 Do it like me do it not a thing.
Lesson 4. Developmental dimension of learning. There are 5 subtopics. A. Child versus adolescence versus adult learning and their similarities and differences. B. Young children, biological disposition learning privilege domain. C. Development of learning strategies and metacognitive process. D. Teaching strategies of addressing the developmental dimension of learning. E. Understanding the challenges of adult learning. How does a child learn? A. Can learn through talking about themselves, family, and their lives. B. Curious to learn and discover new concepts on their own. C. Like to use their imagination and discover things. D. Needs to touch. C. Hear and interact to learn. E. Has short attention span. F. Likes to cooperate and work in a group. G. Needs to support and encouragement while learning. H. Needs to work individually, however they need guidance. How does an adolescent learn? In search for personal identity, in need of activities that meet their needs and learning expectations, destructive when bored, in need teachers' constructive feedback, resourceful in learning environment including personal experience, the local community, and the internet, can learn abstract issues and do challenging activities, active only through meaningful involvement with relevant and current content. How does an adult learn? They are more disciplined, has a clear understanding of their learning objectives, involved in choosing what and how to learn, reliant on themselves, using their own pace, has a wide range of knowledge, expectations, and experience. So ano ba yung similarities ng tatlo? Una, development proceeds in a orderly and predictable pattern. Pangalawa, there are periods of rapid growth sprout in between periods of slower growth. 3. Different individuals develop at different rates. 4. Development is continually affected by both nurture and nature.
Early lifehood learning dispositions are used to understand children's ability to be self-motivated and be a lifelong learners in a changing world. Children lack knowledge and experience but not reasoning ability. They show a predisposition to learn rapidly and readily, particularly in physical and biological concepts, causality, numbers, and language. These are called privileged domains. When children don't have opportunities to develop learning in a privileged domain, example, deaf parents do not hear aloud to a hearing child, nor do they expose the child to a spoken language in other ways. They often have great challenges in learning that information. Another important characteristic of children's disposition is that they are environmentally sensitive, meaning they are acquired, supported, or weakened by interactive experience in an environment with significant adults and peers.
Good morning everyone and good afternoon to all, and my name is Jericho Bernardino Mission, and my topic for today is the development of learning strategies and metacognitive process. So what is metacognitive process? What is metacognitive? Metacognitive is often referred to as thinking about thinking, but that's just a quick definition. Metacognition is a regulatory system that helps a person understand and control his or her own cognitive performance. Metacognition allows people to take charge of their own learning. It involves awareness of how they learn, an evaluation of their learning needs, and then generating strategies to meet these needs, and implementing the strategies. Then 3 is learner often shows an increase in self-confidence when they build metacognitive skills. Self-efficiency improves motivation as well as learning success. And then after that, they have a 2 process of metacognition. Number one is knowledge of cognition. Many theories organize the skills of metacognition into complementary process that makes it easier to understand and remember. According to theory, guys, metacognition consists of 1 is the knowledge of cognition, and 2 is regulation of cognition. Okay, what is the knowledge of cognition? Knowledge of cognition has 3 components. Knowledge of the factor that influence one's own performance, and then knowing different types of strategies to use learning, and then knowing what strategy to use for a specific learning situation. And then number 2 is regulation of cognition. Okay, what is regulation of cognition? Regulation of cognition involves setting goals and planning, monitoring, and controlling learning, and evaluating one's own regulation, assessing results and strategies used. And then, guys, here's an example of metacognition skills you may use. Successful learners typically use metacognition strategy whenever they learn, but they may fall to use the best strategy for each type of learning situation. Here are some metacognition strategies that will sound familiar to you. Number 1 is knowing cognition skills you may use. Successful learners typically use metacognition strategy whenever they learn, but they may fall to use the best strategy for each type of learning situation. Here are some metacognition strategies that will sound familiar to you. Number 1 is knowing the limits of your own memory for a particular task and creating means of external support. And then number 2 is self-monitoring. Self-monitoring your learning strategy, such as concept mapping, and then adapting the strategies if it is effective. And then number 3 is for not noticing whether you comprehend something you just read, and then modifying our approach if you did not comprehend it. And then number 4 is choosing to skim, subheading of an important information to get to the information you need. And then number 5 is repeatedly raising a skill in order to gain proficiency. Then the next, guys, is the metacognition strategies. Okay, here's the metacognition strategies. They have a 10. I can see when I search metacognition strategy, I can see the 10 metacognition. The first one is ask questions, and then number 2 is poster self-reflections, and then number 3, encourage self-questioning, and then number 4, teach strategy directly, and then number 5, promote autonomous learning, number 6, provide access to mentor, and then number 7, solve problem with a team, and then number 8, think aloud, and then number 9, self-explanation, and then number 10, provide opportunities for making errors. And then here the summary of metacognition. In a summary, metacognition is a set of skills that enable learners to become aware of how they learn and to evaluate or adapt this skill to become increasingly effective at learning in our world, effective at learning. And then in a world that demands lifelong learning, providing people with new and improved metacognition strategies is a gift that can last forever. And then these are my report, and that's all. Thank you.
Teaching strategies for addressing the development dimensions in learning. The dimension of learning. So first, let's define what is the meaning of dimension of learning. And it says here is a comprehensive framework or model to help educators plan learning experiences for their students. It is based extensive research about learning and how the mind works. It has been designed to help educators improve students' learning through planning, curriculum, instruction, and assessment using 5 critical aspects of the learning process or dimension of learning. So the 5 dimensions are attitudes and perception, acquire and integrate new knowledge, extend and refine knowledge, using knowledge meaningfully, habits of mind. So first, dimension number 1, attitudes and perception. Attitude is a settled way of thinking or feeling, typically reflected into a person's behavior. Perception refers to the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. The attitudes of learners, their peers, and teachers influence learning. Classroom climate, feel accepted by teachers and peers, experience a sense of comfort and order. Classroom tasks, perceive tasks as valuable and interesting, believe they have the ability and resources to complete tasks, and understand and be clear about tasks. Dimension number 2, acquire and integrate new knowledge. Acquire means to learn or develop a skill, habit, or quality. Integrate means to bring into equal participation in relate or connect. Learning requires both acquisition of information and the ability to retrieve and reconstruct that information whenever necessary. 2 different kinds of knowledge. Declarative knowledge, which means includes facts, concepts, and generalization. Procedural knowledge, which includes skills and processes. Declarative knowledge, construct meaning, link new information to prior knowledge, descriptions, time sequences, cause-effect, episodes, generalizations, concept, similarities or differences, 3-minute pause. Acquire and integrate knowledge, identify pattern in information, graphic organizer, advanced organizer, note-taking strategies, graphs, and charts. internalize or store knowledge, consciously store information in memory, symbols, substitutes, links, structured systems, and mnemonics. Procedural knowledge, construct model, demonstrations, and modeling. Construct steps, think aloud, graphic representation, similarities and differences, mentally rehearse. Shape, provide feedback, and refine process. Narrative, practice variation, identify common errors, integrate knowledge and skills, internalize, practice, and use. Practice schedule, chart, and report, establish connectedness and relevance. Dimension number 3, extend and refine knowledge. Extend is to expand in scope, effect, or meaning. Refine means to improve or something by making small changes, in particular, make an idea, theory, or method more subtle and accurate, analyzing knowledge in ways that involve the application of more complex or reasoning processes on higher order thinking, transforming the knowledge into another form, for example, metaphonic expression through visual arts, theater, drama, or poetry. 8 complex reasoning processes: comparing, abstracting, analyze errors, deductive reasoning, classifying, constructing report, analyze perspectives, inductive reasoning. And last, dimension number 5, use knowledge meaningfully. Learners will internalize knowledge more effectively when they are able to use it to perform a meaningful task. This is particularly pertinent for assessment. Meaningful or authentic tasks are those that use real life or life-like context for students to demonstrate their knowledge skills within. 6 reasoning processes: decision-making, inventions, experimental inquiry, problem-solving, investigation, system analysis. Habits of mind. Habits of mind are the kinds of productive mental habits that successfully learning utilize. It means having disposition toward behaving intelligently when confronted with problems, the answer to which are not immediately known. 3 major organizers for habit of mind: critical thinking, creative thinking, and self-regulated thinking. Habits of mind. R. Costa has expanded on the habits of mind, and he identifies 16, and these are persisting, managing impulsivity, listening with understanding and empathy, thinking flexible, thinking about thinking, striving for accuracy, questioning and posing problems, applying past knowledge to new situations, thinking and communicating in clarify and precision. Gathering data through all senses, creating, imagining, innovating, responding with wonderment and awe, thinking responsible risk, finding humor, thinking independently.
Understanding the challenge of the adult learning. Adult learning is the process whereby adults engage in systematic and sustained learning activities in order to gain new form of knowledge, skill, attitude, or values. So ito daw adult learning is like parang natututunan natin, or for example mga experience natin, kunyari ito mali pala to, ganyan. So once na palaki ka ng palaki, patanda ka na patanda, alam mo na sa sarili mo na ay mali pala to, ganyan. And then meron din dito nabanggit na about sa attitudes, 'di ba? bata pala, ano naman, pag bata tayo is alam na may salita nga tayo na isip bata. Pag kunyari madali magtampo or maliit na bagay is tatampo agad, tinatawag nating isip bata. So makikita naman natin, lalo na sa atin mga teenagers, na ayan, na gain na natin yung adulting learning, na ayan, natututunan na natin kung paano ba kumilos ng tama, paano ba kumilos yung isang teenager. Kumbaga natututunan mo yung pag-uugali abang patanda na patanda.